Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our July network learning session entitled Artistic Dialogues, Healing Communities, Inspiring Activism. I am Quiniqua Williams, sometimes called Chemistry. My pronouns are she, her. I will be facilitating the discussion today. I am Northsound ACH's Artist-in-Residence. If you haven't already, please put your name, pronouns, and organization in the chat. That amazing song we just heard was by Pearl Gomez called Graduation Day, and Perla is from Teen Triumph Life Center. Next slide, please. We want to begin our session today with the land acknowledgement. We begin by acknowledging with humility that the land where we are today is the territory of the people of the Salish Sea. Their presence is imbued in the waterways, shorelines, valleys, and mountains of the traditional homelands of the Coast Salish people. Okay. Some of our group agreements, how we intend to engage with each other today is to understand that we don't know what others are carrying. So we want to take care of ourselves and carry that into your teams and families. Belonging is critical to creating spaces where people feel they belong. So while we may not always agree, we can find ways to not other or break others. We strive to have spaces that support being brave, where we can learn from and grow with each other. Ask questions from a place of true curiosity, so we're open to those moments of, oh, I hadn't thought of it in that way before. We want to recognize that while we'll try, we will not resolve everything in real time, but we will keep track of the items, and we will keep track of anything that needs follow-up. And then we'll want to remember to speak from what you have experienced, speaking from I, not they. So we'll be using I statements. And the words we use matter. They elicit metaphors and narratives that either show space for belonging or they'll create exclusion. What is shared here is not yours to share elsewhere without permission. So it's important that we ask before we share. And then we want to encourage everyone to take care of themselves and step away whenever it's needed. All right, a few tech tips. We want to highlight some Zoom options for you. If you find yourself needing assistance, please look for the tool emoji, and that will allow you to connect with Natalie, who's our tech help for today. And a few housekeeping items. Please use the chat throughout because it's being monitored for any questions that may come up. If you are able, please have your camera on, and please note this meeting is being recorded. Next slide, please. During our time together, we will have a short grounding followed by a panel discussion. Then we'll go into breakout rooms and finish with group reflections. If there is time, we will open up the space for questions for our panelists. All right, a little bit about me. I am Quiniqua, again, Chemistry Williams. I am a DEIB practitioner. I am an activist and a poet. Like many other art forms that others use, my poetry has helped me to navigate tough emotions, express my identity, and reveal the complexities of my intersectionality. When you read my work, you can expect to be moved emotionally. Either you'll want to be in love, you'll be moved to cry. How I achieve that is by being an empath. I also use poetry to share the stories and struggles of others who are silenced or those who are too afraid to share their personal life journeys. Every level of my writing requires bravery, vulnerability, and empathy to convey emotional evoking work. So I started my journey in 2010 when I moved away from my hometown of Crescent, Georgia. It's really small, 60 miles south of Savannah. And during that time in 2010, when I moved away, I realized that I started to experience anxiety and depression, and that emotional pain began to manifest itself physically. So I began writing to process what was happening to me. And like a stream, the memories that I suppressed started flowing. And that is when I became brave enough to share my story and to advocate for myself. The 2 months of intensive writing from August 2010 to October 2010 brings me to where I am today. My writing continues to be how I hold others accountable. It's how I challenge perspective, and it's how I share myself with the world. My work reveals elements of protest, and it really is a way for me to reveal whatever it is that I desire. And some of the questions I ask when I'm writing is, how is this relevant to my life now? I'm often thinking, how is it relevant to others and their experience? So as you read some of my work, some of the themes that will surface is bringing awareness to childhood sexual abuse, female reproductive system and endometriosis awareness, mental health diagnosis, BLM or the Black Lives Movement, injustices and lack of representation. And a huge part of my writing involves love and loss. My poetry has been featured in North Sound ACH's newsletters over the past 3 months. And as the next few months of my residency unfold, you have the opportunity to explore how I use poetry as a medium for storytelling and how I personally use it for activism. Next slide, please. Art has been used as activism throughout history, since the 1700s, when it was used as a way to protest wars. Three of the things you might notice when looking at art as activism is that one, it challenges the status quo, it inspires change, and it mobilizes people against injustice. Okay, I want to call your attention to this slide. It goes from left to right, and it's talking about how art has been used through history as a tool for activism, advocacy. So in the 19th century, in 1839, Harriet Power's quilt depicts Bible stories and local legends, significant as folk art. And then by 1885, Carlisle Indian industrial school students use art to preserve their cultural identity and resistance to the boarding schools. And then we move on to the early 20th century, where we have the Harlem Renaissance. And it was celebrated as racial pride through artists like Aaron Douglas, Langston Hughes. I want to call your attention to Frida Kahlo, a Mexican artist who who did sketches that were then later turned into paintings from 1933 onward, addressing her identity as a Mexican and also having some Native American ancestry. You'll see things such as post-colonialism, gender, and disability displayed or portrayed in her art. We move to the mid-20th century in the early 1940s, where Mine Okubo, she did her sketches of Japanese internment victims within the Japanese internment camps. And the art is depicted through her personal experience and others' experience as well. The graphic memoir, Citizens 13660, is where you can find some of those sketches. We move on into the late 20th century, where we go into the civil rights movement. And then you'll see Nina Simone, James Baldwin, and others who advocated for social justice. And then the Stonewall riots of 1969 sparked the LGBTQ plus activism led by figures like Marsha P. Johnson. And those artists continue to challenge norms and advocate for marginalized communities. And they contributed to ongoing social movements and cultural change. Then we go into the disability rights movement, and they gained their momentum after the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And the artists that the biggest figures during that time that we can think of is Judith Scott. She used her innovative fiber art, and we can also see at the bottom right corner of the poster, Earl Livermore from the Native American occupation of Alcatraz Island. Next slide, please. Okay, and in the early 2010s, in response to the acquittal of George Zimmerman in 2013, we move into the Black Lives Matter movement that emerged, and that is how they highlighted systemic racism. Then there's the Me Too movement when that gained momentum, where folks were protesting sexual harassment. 2016, we move into the Standing Rock protests featuring Native American art, advocating for environmental justice and growing global attention. 2020, we move into the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. And then art at this point continued to serve as a tool for activism. And artists globally responded with works addressing issues such as healthcare disparities, social isolation, and systemic inequities exacerbated by the pandemic. The pandemic saw a rise in anti-Asian hate crimes and discrimination. So artists and activists use their platforms to address and combat this bigotry through art. And we move over to the upper top far right. The global protests following George Floyd's murder inspired art activists demanding racial justice and police reform, which resonated worldwide. I want to specifically point your attention down to the bottom left, where we see Abigail Ickelhawk. She used a sewing machine and the strength of her ancestors to turn something that was a horrible situation into something beautiful. So they were sent, Abigail Ickelhawk and a few other folks during the pandemic, they sent to the federal government for PPE supplies, but instead body bags were sent to them, and those body bags were intended to bury Indigenous lives lost to COVID-19. And she turned that around by creating a beautiful healing ribbon dress. In March of that time, her and her colleagues at the Seattle Indian Health Board didn't have mask and testing kits. And when they sent that request locally and federally, that was her response to activate for to be an activist for her Native American folks by creating this beautiful dress in response to something terrible. And then now we move on to drag. And drag remains a powerful form of protest and expression. Drag queens and kings challenge societal norms and advocate for LGBTQ plus rights through performances and activism. And despite protests against drag shows, they reflect ongoing debates in gender identity and expression. Next slide, please. So we see that in order for artists to be able to do their work, they have had to overcome some challenges to be able to express themselves. One of the things that struck out to me was the lack of diversity in the arts. And that started actually in early childhood education with the lack of art education in elementary school. And then it would continue to perpetuate through middle school, high school, and then into college for folks. The second point is that in 2019, a survey revealed that nearly 85% of artists represented in US museums are white. So then that creates the omission of people of color from the 64 billion dollar artist industry. And it continued to devastate them socioeconomically. And then the implications can be seen worldwide. This continues to enforce the wealth gap for people of color, and it creates an additional barrier for artistic expression. Even so, we are excited to welcome our panelists today to share how they address some of these barriers and use art in their own activism work, and their stories will highlight the hope we have today for arts and activism. So I welcome our panelists today, Ramón Rivera and Karla Estevez from Mount Vernon Folklórico, Silvia Alvarez and Rosa Mondragon from Triumph Teen Center, and Christopher Sadler as Gina Touché from Simply Curious, Skagit Drag. All right, so My first question I want to address to the panelists, Ramon and Karla, if you don't mind answering this question for me. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your artistic journey and what drew you to these particular art forms of expression and how are they significant to you?
Good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be part of this panel and also to celebrate art. And wow, what wonderful work that you've done. I can't wait to hear some of your poetry live. I want to see it live, because poetry is always better live. The important part is that my name is Ramón Rivera, and I have one of my former students that graduated. Her name is Karla. She'll introduce yourself. Karla, why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hello.
So, my program that I teach at Mount Vernon High School, we are very fortunate that we have three classes of Folklórico, which is traditional Mexican dance. We have beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and then we also have a class. We have two classes of mariachi music. So when we talk about art, we're keeping this art form alive. You see the students that are wearing these traditional outfits from Mexico. But the other thing, it's taught at the public schools, which is keeping this art form that's over 100 years old still alive. And then these students are continuing their culture because without keeping your culture, it gets lost. So students like Karla are going to keep this art form alive. And so we are yes, there's Maritza. These we are very excited to keep this art form alive in our school, but we also use it as a vehicle for social justice. And Karla, why don't you talk about your experience being in the program and your leadership and scholarships and all the good stuff about there. There's Karla and I. We're at the beautiful tulips in Mount Vernon. So Karla, tell us about your journey with
Okay.
being in my class.
Hello. Well, my name is Karla Estevez, and I've been in the MV Mariachi Folklórico program for about 3 years, and I really enjoyed it. But I originally started dancing folklórico since I was 5 years old, in another dance company. But then like I stopped, and then again I joined folklórico once I saw Mr. Rivera's program. I remember like I was like really scared to join my freshman year. And then I got really inspired by my friends that were in it. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it out because I miss dancing. And so I tried it out my sophomore year and I really like loved it. I enjoyed it. I love dancing, I love practicing, I love learning like new music, like new dances and everything. And then I've just like really enjoyed it ever since. Well, uh in my senior year, like I got the role to be the Folklórico president, and which it was like a role I which was like voted on by students in the class, and like I was really fortunate enough to have that role, and like I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed like teaching like the students or like my classmates like how to dance and like new songs, and like I really enjoyed like making up like new choreography as well. Like that's like I really enjoy like everything, and especially like when I would like teach them, like I just enjoyed every single bit of like single part of it. Like I never got like bored of it. I just like I kept like enjoying like going to class. And like I feel like my favorite part would be like performing. Like I just really love performing, and like I don't know, I just like really had like a fun time in the program. And I will for sure like continue like to like I want to continue to dance like after high school as well. Like I want to like look for like a new like dance program like to continue dancing because like I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Ramon. Thank you, Karla. That was beautiful, and these photos are beautiful. Thank you for sharing. We'll move on to have Rosa and we'll have Rosa and Silvia answer the same question. How can you tell us a little bit about yourself? What drew you to these particular forms of expression, and how are they significant to you?
Um, I'll go first. So my name is Rosa Juarez. I am the program director here at Triumph Teen Life Center. Um, I would say that the activism is focused on disrupting and transforming systematical structures like to foster equity and justice. As an immigrant myself, I faced a lot of displacement, um, or and like I was like deeply influenced by not having my culture represented through part of it, my parents wanting to like assimilate to this new society, um, losing my native language. My grandparents were the last ones to speak Purepucha, and not knowing much about my culture or my traditions. It's always made me want to be driven to advocate for cultural preservation and celebration of different identities. Um, And so being here and joining Triumph in January 2024, I've been able to create programs and through those programs, make sure that culture is being represented through the arts specifically because we focus a lot on the arts through our dance room, our music room, and our art room. I have 8 years of experience working in the K-12 system, and it definitely is a lot of uphill battles. But I'm super glad that Triumph exists and available for our teens, but also that that Silvia as our executive director gives me the liberty to be creative and bring in different programming that meets the kids where they're at. I would, and then also opens the door for others. Here at Triumph, yeah, that picture of our Folklórico girls, we've started a Folklórico group. Um, and And part of the activism is also inspiring and believing in our teens that we serve, that they can actually also, that could be a career path for them. For example, Maritza, somebody shout out in the comments and was in Ramon's picture. She's learned and at learned so much from Ramon in Folklórico, and we actually hired her on this year to teach our Folklórico middle school group here at Triumph. And next year, we'll have Karla be here teaching Latin dancing and K-pop, because part of what we do is we create programming, but we also allow our space to be hosted by different groups. We've had multiple folklorical groups here, using our space and our dance room and developing programs to meet those needs.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Rosa. My name is Silvia Alvarez, and I am the Executive Director for Triumph Teen Life Center. And when we were putting together, or Triumph was being born, I wanted to provide a place for our kiddos from our Latino culture, for them to feel empowered. And one of the ways that we wanted to provide them not only with the building but with the tools, the best way for us to be able to do that was empowering our music, right? Empowering our art, for them to show and to learn who a little bit of background of our culture. Many years when I was growing up, I was embarrassed of speaking Spanish, or my English wasn't perfect, or lower the volume of the voice of the music because the mariachi is too loud. Just letting outside comments be part of of my thoughts or my thinkings. That when I realized that that's like, our culture is beautiful and we want our kids to be empowered. So every single one of our programs in our at Triumph, it's really to empower and for them to be part of their culture, but to be proud of showing it, and not only to create, but also create, but expression. And that's who we are. So in our art room, our kiddos are able to draw, to create art that it goes with how they're feeling. And in our music room, they're able to create our music with, whether it's mariachi, or right now I know the Mount Vernon School kiddos with Rosa, they worked on creating a corrido. That's also part of our culture because the corrido is telling a story, right? And in our dance studio, not only are they doing folklorico, but there's so many of the dances that they're learning. So I feel we're providing them the tools to be able to embrace their culture and to be proud of showing who they are.
Thank you, Sylvia. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing, Rosa. Christopher, Sadler, Gina, Touché, would you answer the same question for us?
Of course. Excuse me. Hi, I'm Christopher Sadler, also known as Gina Touché, as you can see here. My artistic journey has been rich with diverse experiences and influences from my home state of Louisiana all the way here to Washington and much further beyond that. As a business owner, singer, and community activist, my work in performing and creation has been a pillar of my self-expression and my connection to community involvement. I started my career in event production and creation and performing, and gradually expanded into flyer and video creation and editing, which has given me a multifaceted perspective on art and its broader impact on our society. What drew me to these forms of expression was the ability to blend creativity with storytelling and how that connects us all and how we can learn from each other's experiences. Entertaining and creation has allowed me to explore and to challenge societal norms using performance as a powerful medium to convey messages of inclusivity and self acceptance and collaboration. This journey has been significant to me because it combines my passion for visual arts, singing, community engagement, allowing me to create a unique platform to inspire and empower others to express themselves, to share their own stories, and to show their own creations in whichever form they deem necessary to share. There's so many forms of art out there, and I have been given the privilege to be in a position to create spaces to allow the unheard, the silence, to kind of have a larger platform to speak on. So I take great pride in being a community activist. Kind of just stumbled into it because I loved creating, I loved performing, and I never had the space to do that myself, even within the LGBTQIA plus community. As you can see, I'm a glitter bearded kind of drag thing, so I don't really fit into the drag queen or the drag king. So I discovered that if you don't have the space, create the space, because there's so many people that need it, and I'm honored to be able to do it and be here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Christopher. I love what you said in one of your concluding lines. If you don't have the space, create the space. I'm all about it. Thank you so much. So we'll move on to our second question then. Your answers were so insightful and inspiring. And whoever feels inclined to start off first, I want to point to the fact that art can connect us to our cultural roots and can be a powerful tool for activism. What cultural significance does art hold for you, and what challenges, both systemic and personal, have you faced in your artistic journey? If anyone feels compelled, please begin by answering the question.
I just think that art has been like where I come from, the public school system, where that's just band, choir, and orchestra, and anything that's not in that realm is like not accepted. So, as I fought and I worked and advocated for art, this is music is not just Eastern European music. My job is to teach from Mozart to mariachi, but a lot of it's just classical music, and as we said before, sort of just Eastern European music. But there's so much more music, because you got to look when you go to Latin America. There's different. You go to the South, there's different music. There's so much music, but in public schools they're only teaching the classical music. So as I advocated for many years is to get past that, because you got to imagine the world without music or art. Imagine the world, there'll be no commercials, there'll be no radio, there'll be no TV, there'll be no murals on the wall, there'll be nothing, but it's always the first thing to be cut. It's always the first thing to get rid of. It's also the first thing that is done. So as art advocates, it's our job to make sure that art is included in our public schools. Imagine how sad it is if kids aren't learning about art. They could do all the reading and writing and math and all those wonderful things, but none of that could happen unless there's music and art. So as us in this panel are fighting that constantly, and we need to make sure that art and music are in the forefront. Sorry, I'll talk forever, so please cut me off.
You're fine. You're fine.
I'm very passionate about that.
Karla, do you have any thoughts to add to Ramón?
I'm so sorry, but can you just repeat the question?
The question is, what cultural significance does art hold for you, and what challenges, both systemic and personal, have you faced in your artistic journey?
Well, I feel like it's just really important to like obviously like teach like the community about our culture because like obviously like I feel like it's important because honestly like at first I was like really like shy about it and like too scared to like join Folklórico, but then like I saw the first couple of girls that joined and then I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna join too. And then I got like super confident once I joined Folklórico. And I feel like that's really important because many other girls have gone confident too. Many other girls like have like gone like more social because like they perform more and like they're just more confident, and I feel like that's what happened to me as well. Like I just got more confident, I got less shy, and I feel like that's really important. And I just like I obviously like that happened because of Folklórico and because like that's really important like that I joined. I feel like it's just really important because obviously like Folklórico helped me do that. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Karla. Christopher, Sadler, Gina, Touché, do you mind answering the question? What cultural significant art holds for you and what things you've had to overcome in your, or what you've faced in your artistic journey?
So yeah, for art for me is a bridge and a vehicle for self-discovery, connection, and activism. It's a way to celebrate diversity, honor history, and address pressing social issues. I come from a place of privilege, so excuse me if I get a little emotional. Um, I come from a place of privilege, so it is my duty to stand up and create space for people who are silenced and who are forced to give up their space for expression of mass message. Um, so through my work in drag and singing and visual arts, I strive to create spaces where marginalized voices are heard and validated. The cultural significance is deeply personal as it reflects on my own journey of self-discovery and identity as a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, sorry. However, this journey has not been without its challenges. Systematically, the arts often face underfunding and under evaluation, making it difficult to sustain a career solely on artistic endeavors. Personally, navigating the biases and prejudice within both the art world and the broader society has been a continuous struggle. But despite these obstacles, I refuse to give up. I remain committed to using art as a tool for positive change and empowering others.
Thank
Had to
you.
write it because I knew I'd get emotional.
It's okay. We're here for it. We support it. I love the vulnerability. Thank you for sharing. Rosa and Silvia, do you mind answering the same question? Yeah, let me get to the
For
point.
me, thank you so much for sharing, Christopher. For me, art is a way of expressing our culture and to keep our culture alive. To educate others of the richness of the diversity. And I think it's a big tool that should be used a lot more. However, one of the biggest systematic challenges has always been all these arts and music and learning how to play an instrument and being able to provide and share all these things. Are growing up never had that due to not having the funding. And I think I definitely, now that I think I know, I agree with someone. These services are the first services to be cut in a school when funding is not enough, right? So I feel that we need more programs that provide these resources for our kids to be able to keep the music, to keep the art programs, to keep all of those things that we're able to express, especially our culture, and show who we are. So I do believe that that's the biggest challenge in our teens, in our group, to not having that support or not understanding how big is that need.
Thank you so
And the
much.
role that it plays on our expression and who we are.
Thank you. Rosa, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah. Um, like Sylvia and Ramon both said, it definitely is difficult to have all of these artistic opportunities within a K-12 system. As someone who just came out of it recently, definitely an uphill battle to try and bring these programmings into it. And thank you, Ramon, for all you do at Mount Vernon. Um, but so having spaces like at Triumph is amazing because then that provides a space to the teens to create. And a lot of the teens that we serve here in Skagit Valley in Mount Vernon are students who speak Mixteco, this indigenous language. They are coming from Oaxaca and Guerrero and Puebla. But a lot of the work that I've done is working with our indigenous Mixteco population, and Oaxaca has the biggest artesanía, like artisan, like their art is beautiful. They have so much. They have different the colors, everything like this. It's already in their culture. It's already in their tradition, and so it's just kind of bringing these opportunities for our kids to be able to do that here, when their parents have moved here, when they might not be like the first thing that they can do due to funding time. And so creating those opportunities, they're like super valuable and very needed. Um, I definitely like I'm from Michoacan, Mexico, and as an adult I've done a lot of learning about my culture and the state that I'm from. But there wasn't much opportunity when I was younger. And I've done a lot of learning. My husband is from Oaxaca and his family speaks Mixteco, and so I've done a lot of learning about just being indigenous and all the culture and traditions just from like being married to him and all of his family and friends and being here in Skagit Valley. And it's so important to have all of that. And yeah, I think
Thank
thanks.
you.
If I can add that, the power like music, so we're thinking about music, it connects us to our culture and our heritage, right? And um it serves as a means to address like so our social issues in a way to giving a voice to those that might otherwise be unheard. Or once you start singing and you start expressing how you're feeling, then you can express and for example create a song of all the injustice, right? So it is a tool that we can definitely use to express, and in art to express how all the all the things that we've been dealing with, the injustice, and when we don't have a voice. So I feel that music, art is a way to express, and it's part of who we are.
Yeah,
I
and
agree with
and to add to Sylvia's comment, because this is how we work, we always bounce off each other. Just to share, in our Folklórico group, our students are wanting to do more songs that have to do with the states that they represent them. So we started doing Yucatan, Nayarit, and Michoacán, and so it's been really amazing to see them be so engaged when it's states that they're being represented. And then with music, on the last day of our teen center, we had 5 middle school boys come and want to record a song. They're newcomer students. That means students who just came into the US. Their English is limited, and they were feeling very frustrated about like a lot of things of just having to come over. And so they created a corrido, a song, and the song is really cool. You can find it on our SoundCloud with all the other songs from our teens. But it's in Spanish, but to translate, they're talking about how kids were breaking pencils, and that was frustrating to them because they're coming from being in Mexico where resources are so limited, and a pencil for them, they'll use that pencil until it's really small, they'll take care of it. But being here, they see all the kids just throwing pencils and breaking them, and so they were just like letting out their frustration of like being in this new place. And even though it's just about a pencil, like it's a way for them to show their emotions and just kind of sing about what they're feeling. And so those things are so powerful, definitely.
Thank you so much. I'm really enjoying this discussion. I want to point your attention to the chat. Micah just dropped the SoundCloud for Triumph there where you can go listen to the music the youth from Triumph Teen Center has created. I want to echo with what Ramón was talking about as far as music. It has been used as a mnemonic device or a way for folks to learn and remember things for years and years and years. And so how beautiful it is that we are using culture and integrating culture with the music for teens to be empowered about their culture and feel that their culture is really beautiful. Thank you so much. So we'll move on to the third question now. And maybe I can get Christopher to start on this one. The question is, beyond simply hanging art on walls, what practical advice would you offer individuals and organizations seeking to effectively integrate art into their work to enhance engagement and cultural resonance?
This one will be way less emotional.
It's so cool.
I love to be vulnerable with people because most people are scared to do it. So I have no qualm doing it. So please feel inspired to cry. What I would say that people could do, they could collaborate, partner, or sponsor local artists, which means anything, you know. They could have interactive installments, so they could have art installment within their facility, outside their facility, storytelling through art, so organizations could have a storytelling time, which is a really great group thing. So sit in a circle and then other people are inspired to tell their stories, which can really activate more art. So it's really, you know, art on art, which is great. And then just workshops, events, involvement in other events, be visible at artistic places that, you know, just be interested, ask questions, go see shows, and just support in kind of like a general capacity. But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone want to go next? Okay, Silvia.
So one of the things that our community can do to support arts would be to get involved in community and creating the process, host workshops, collaborate with projects where people can be part of putting together and empowering one another, not only engaging and participating, but also ensuring that the art reflects a diverse perspective of our community. One of the other things is making sure that we're not just saying we're providing a space, right? We're here, we want, but like Christopher said, actually giving them a space and respecting that, respecting our culture.
Thank you.
So when I look at this is community builds community. So it takes the community to build art and music. And the only way to build community is to participate in the workshops or participate in the events, or like what Chris said about sponsoring an event, because these events are very expensive, and usually the musicians don't have any money and the artists don't have any money because they do it for the love of the art. They don't care about getting paid. That's the last thing on our mind when we're making a poetry or making a painting or making a thing. We don't care about this because we're just very passionate of what we do. So one of the things, and I'll share it with you, that we did because I believe my classroom's a community center. I don't believe that I should stay in the four walls of the classroom and doing that. My goal is, so this year we put on a Cinco de Mayo parade, which included everybody. So it included drag queens, it included Triumph Center, it included lowriders, it included Folklórico, included mariachi, it included lawyers. There was a group of lawyers that marched in the parade, you know, it included Banner Bank, included everyone. And it's completely free. Want to invite you. It's May 4th. 5 p.m. downtown Mount Vernon. It's free for anybody, but it showed our community, even though it was raining and it was pouring, people still came together because we were showing off everybody's art. Because I had a concert one time, and Rosa knows it. 1,000 people showed up, and we didn't have enough room for everybody. But with a parade, everybody could come. So I really want us to come together, and instead of celebrating Cinco de Mayo as Drinko de Mayo or these stereotypes they have when it comes in. It celebrated music, art, and culture in this parade. And Sylvia she brought lowriders and a float, and then we had P Flag with their drag queens and their flags, and we have to. It's all about collaboration. It's all about coming together, and community builds community if we have the right formula. And I think the people that you have on this panel are all stars, and so let's work together. And I saw there's like 54 other organizations on here. I would love to work with you, and how we could build more community and more art. I always, when I work in the school, and I'm sorry if I'm taking a lot of my time, they always talk about like programs to help students, and they give them double math and double English and double science, and said the kid already hates math and they want him to take math twice. I said, give them more art, give them more music, give them a positive outlet, give these kids a positive outlet, because if they don't have an outlet like being a drag queen, by being part of a music program or dancing or this, they'll pick out the negative outlets, which is joining the gang, picking up a knife, picking up a spray can. We need to get our kids those kind of resources, not on another intervention. Art is the best intervention there is, period. Or be a cheerleader. I don't care. Cheerleading is great. As long as you're involved in something, we need to get our youth involved in something. We don't have youth centers. Sylvia is the only one I know that in this town that has a youth center for our kids. We need positive outlets for our youth. That's the first thing I would do. I'd give all my taxes to the youth centers if I had the money. If I won the lottery, I'd give Sylvia $1 million. And thank you for giving me this platform. And that's why it's great that we have this platform to talk about this issue.
Yes, Ramon, thank you so much. I want to point everybody's attention to one of your closing statements. Art is the best intervention there is. I learned that for myself, and it has carried me through being an adult and also being able to mentor other youth through art as well. You talked about collaboration a lot. I want to also point out the fact that the network, the North Sound ACH Collaborative Action Network, is a network of learning, advocacy, collaborative action, and it is open to all community members and organizations. So very, very thankful for North Sound ACH for this opportunity to chat with you all and to be able to talk a little bit more about collaboration. Sylvia and Rosa. Oh, yeah, Silvia and Rosa. Karla, if you have thoughts, anybody want to add before we move on to our next question? Okay. Well, let's move right on to our bonus question then. What is one question you wished you were asked that you were never asked and you want to share? So what's one question you were never asked that you want to share? And anyone can start off answering this question.
I'll go then. Okay. This was a tough one because I get asked so many questions. So I just kind of was like, so I just kind of came up with, how has your personal growth been influenced by the diverse roles you juggle in your career? Because as a low income retail worker and an entrepreneur and a community activist and a performer and a writer and a creator and all of those things, how do I juggle that? Well, I'm a juggler. Balancing being a business owner, performer, and community activist has profoundly shaped my personal growth. It has taught me resilience, adaptability, and the importance of staying true to my values amidst various challenges. This journey has reinforced my belief in the transformative power of art and community, and I am grateful for the opportunities to continually perform, learn, and evolve my own art, and to give space to other people to do the same.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Love that. Anyone else?
The one question I wish people would ask more is how music can be used to bridge generation gaps. And music is the power to connect different age groups, allowing our younger teens to learn from our adults, right? To share experiences and to learn from each other. I think that, you go somewhere else and it's not your town, but you hear music and right away you start feeling it, right? And art and music, that's the way it works. It connects so much. You don't have to know who the person is, but you can relate to it. And it brings together music and art, right? It brings together and it's an open, um, it's a way for different generations to connect. So I think that that's one thing that no one's really asked about. Music. I mean, what's the power? They have so many powers, but that's one of the biggest powers that I think that sometimes we get overlooked, like the power of music and art, that they can connect different generations, and you feel welcome once you hear music or you see nice art.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up.
I want to touch base on that because as a singer and a writer, it's true. Music and just singing to people and being in the presence of people with music has transcended so many things I've experienced in my life. And it has opened up so many pathways that I have never expected because people get connected, especially if it's something that you write personally, people and you're singing that from that space of like true creation, true like love for the experience of the art. It's very transforming for people. I just wanted to touch base on that.
Thank you.
I really think it opens doors that would not happen as a musician and as an artist myself. I've opened thousands of doors, but now I get to help open the doors for kids. And so, Karla, why don't you tell them of some of the doors that opened for you by being in the program? Because I talk a lot, so I want some. What doors have opened for you as being a student and being a dancer and in the program?
Well, I feel like I just have like I think becoming like I guess like a greater leader in the community. I think that's a door that has been opened, and also having more opportunities. Like I like have what Mr. Rivera said. Like I've got a scholarship, and that's helped me with my education, and so I'm really grateful for that. And yeah.
What school are you going to? You didn't tell everybody. I give a shout out to you too.
I'm going to Seattle Pacific University.
Yeah. So a lot of them are first generation students. We try to open the door because music will do that. We'll offer scholarships and then also tell us the people that you got to meet this year and the places you got to perform. Sorry if I'm feeding you, but that'd be interesting.
We've gone all over the place, honestly. We've gone to Silverwood, Idaho. We've gone to, we got to Long Beach, Washington last year. And then we've gone to the Washington State Fair. We've gone to what is it? Mercer Island? I think that's what it's called, right? Mercer
Bainbridge Island.
Bainbridge Island, my bad. Yeah, we've gone there too. We've gone all over the place. And
Arizona.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In the beginning of the year, that was so
They
much
go
fun.
so many places they don't know. They just
Yeah.
it's just normal. And they got to open for who? Who was it? They got
Oh yeah, for George Lopez, which is really cool.
So
Yeah.
we try to give the students and the biggest opportunities possible. So because of their music and their skills, they're able to go places they never did. Some of the kids, that was their first time on an airplane, and that was because of music. The first time going to a different state. That was your first time in Arizona, right, Karla? So
Yeah,
it's something thing. So this gives our students a platform, and everyone on this thing gives the youth a platform. Like Chris gives a platform for the LGBTQIA community. Silvia and Rosa gives a platform for our teens to have a place between 3 and 8 o'clock to have a place to hang out and a place to feel safe. I try to do that during the school day. So we all serve a role here to make this. And Karla's going to be our future governor or president or something like that, I thought. So we're just, that's because the power of music, the power of art is changing kids' lives. And because of people like you giving us this platform, I'm really excited to share all this wonderful wonderful things, because there's usually we do all this stuff, but we forget to brag about it. If we forget to talk about it and share it with other people that haven't heard the message.
Thank you so much. Rosa?
Definitely agree, Ramon. Um, and I think part of a question would be like, how do you do all the programming? Since I'm the program director, right? My whole thing is scheduling. I myself am not an artist. I don't listen to much music. I don't know how to dance, and I can draw. Stick figures are definitely my thing. I know the importance of cultural representation within the arts, and it's a passion of mine, and I love the history of it and bringing it to our teens. But me and Sylvia would not be able to do it by ourselves, and I think that like the way that we are so successful is by being very intentional of who we hire for coaches. And I don't think we've had like a lot of chance to talk about all our coaches. And so we've had amazing art coaches who bring in so much different experience from different types of like arts, like watercolors, sculpting, making Dia de los Muertos mask with paper mache. We have our music coach and also he's a local rapper and producer himself. He's an independent musician. He does shows all over Skagit County, a lot in Bellingham. He goes by Dank. His name is Christian Savala, and Sylvia hiring him on, it's very intentional to have someone who can really relate to the teens. And the teens are gonna come to our center to create music because it's somebody who is doing it. It's not just a teacher who's gonna guide them through some lesson plan. It's someone who's living it, who's creating his own music, who's going through that struggle, and then he comes and supports our teens. Um, as well as the people that we have when it comes to like Maritza and Karla. I always like to share like Maritza for a really long time since she started with Ramón, she always volunteered because I would run other Folklórico programs when I worked in the school district, and she would always volunteer. And Karla volunteered too. She would come down to help me teach little second graders to dance Folklórico. But it's also like valuing their work, like Ramon said, like any artist is always going to be willing to do it. But we don't want them to struggle. And so making sure that in our organization we have funding to be able to pay these coaches and that we're not asking them to volunteer their time and their expertise and knowledge. And because paying them is valuing their lived experience. Um, and so that's just something that I'm always so proud of here at Triumph, that we put value to being able to hire our coaches and be able to pay them for all of their knowledge. And that makes our jobs easier because we get to do all the scheduling and the funding, but they really put their hearts into what they're teaching all the teens. And that's what attracts the teens. When they build that relationship with them, then they're going to want to come to our teen center.
Thank you, Rosa. Anyone else want to touch on this bonus question before we move forward?
I just want to touch on what Rosa just said, because when I visit the GSAs, which are the gay straight alliances in middle schools and high schools and whatnot, um, that is where I see the most curiosity and the most spark of interest and imagination and joy. And, you know, so I just wanted to say, yeah, it's so important to have people in the spaces that can connect to these people that were really trying to drive into them to live their dreams and to express themselves authentically and to share that outwardly without feeling shamed. And yeah, so a great point, Rosa, on including people that really can deeply relate to the people that they are teaching and guiding into a more artistic life. And I love that you pointed out that you're not a drawer, singer, a dancer, because there's so much art out there. It's not just about singing, it's not just about music, the dresses that the dancers wear, the way they do their hair, like all of that stuff. It's all art, it's all connected, it's all part of it. So all of you all out there are artists in some form or fashion. So just remember that.
Yes, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, because who are we comparing ourselves to in the first place? I like to compare myself to where I was a year ago, and if I'm a better drawer than I was a year ago, I think I'm doing pretty good.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us for this panel discussion. You have really blessed me this morning. I feel inspired to continue working with youth or to figure out how I can be more involved with youth when it comes to my artistic expression, which is writing and poetry. Thank you for your time. We hope you will join us in the network if you're not a partner already. I look forward to seeing the work you continue to do in our communities. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so now we're going to move into our breakout discussion. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed your time in the breakout room. If you are interested in sharing out some of your group reflections, please drop them in the chat, or if you want to share out loud, please raise your hand so that you pop up in my window pane and I can call on you to share with the group. Liz, please share.
Hey there. First
Hi.
off, Quinico, there's probably a request if you could put your email address in the chat, how you might want folks to connect with you.
Okay.
But one of the things that came up in our small group is the notion that the arts are something that transcends like spoken language quite often. So like I can be anywhere and not speak a language and still feel connected to music, to dance, to plays, to, visual arts, physical arts, hair. Like there's so many things that speak to us beyond the words that we use. And like there's just something that's bridging and connecting about the arts. And I find that also with like teenagers and such that sometimes you can bridge ages through the arts in ways that our words may get in the way of doing that sometimes. So I just the notion of bridging and connection just came up for us.
Love that. Thank you for sharing, Liz. Lyndon, thanks for joining us and for being willing to share. We want to hear your thoughts.
Hey, everybody. Well, we had a kind of an unruly group because we didn't really talk about the questions till a little later on, but that doesn't surprise anybody here. But we started out talking about just actually the project up in Concrete. We were talking about East County and how to get more collaboration up in East County of sharing of arts. I mean, this is such a rich area in Eastern Skagit County of Indigenous people, and yet there's not much representation at all up here. So we talked about that a little bit, and then Rajdeep talked. And Rajdeep, I'm going to throw you under the bus here because you shared your story, and I just love that story about coming to this country and being really kind of afraid to go outside, and so you didn't experience a lot of things, and going to Lake Whatcom for the first time in a boat. And Rajdeep, you can explain. I would like you to explain what that was like for you because it was so inspiring about art and new experiences.
Oh my gosh, Lyndon, I thought we voted you to do this.
Yeah, we did.
He's really good at this. Yeah.
He's like, we voted you, but no. I was just sharing in our group that I think of art in such a different way just because I am first generation here. And so I view just my world in such a different lens. And I said, I have a childlike wonder to me where there's things that most people get to explore at early childhood that I just didn't get to because of the way my family was raised. And my parents, raised us very sheltered. It was dangerous in the country that they were at to be out for longer periods than they needed to be. And so for us, that's the same kind of value systems that they instilled in us. And so as an adult now, I'm exploring all these things for the very first time, and I'm in constant awe of just the beauty around me. And I was telling the story of my little brother just got this little boat. It's like a little putt-putt boat, but he took us out to Lake Whatcom with a bunch of friends, and I literally was beside myself over the beauty of just Lake Whatcom. And the whole time I'm sitting in this boat with adults, and I was like, this is for free? Like, this is in our backyard, and we just get to see this? This is amazing. And so I see that as art, and just everything I see it just absorbs in a different lens for me. And so now as an adult, I have godkids. And so I'm just constantly in awe of the beauty around me and how I can share that with my godkids and say, like, look at this. This is in our backyard. Look at all this beauty around us and this art and nature. So, but that was what I shared with the group when I was talking.
Thank you, Rajdeep. Thank you, Lyndon, for sharing too. Okay, well, we can move into our questions and answers for panelists. If you have a question for me, feel free to share it as well. Meg, are you checking that or should I check that?
Oh, I'm checking it.
Okay.
Haven't seen any questions, but I was just gonna add in like just giving space. What else came up in y'all's breakout groups? Whether it's a question or not, what came up for you guys? What came up for y'all?
We're inviting anyone to share thoughts or questions that came up for you in your breakout session. If All right. Well, while folks think about if they want to share, we do have one question from Emily in the chat. What is one recommendation that you have to incorporate more art in your daily life? For example, a 5 to 10-minute practice. And this is for the panelists. So if any of you want to jump in and maybe raise your hand so that you can go to the side of where folks can view you clearly, that would be helpful. Okay.
I would say the first thing to do is a like, a share would be the easiest. If you see one of our events, please share it. You have more friends than I do, so please share it because I think, and I tell the students that they're like, everybody knows about our event. You're in that bubble, right? We're in that bubble. All our friends think like that, but I need people outside my bubble to share the event. So if that's the first thing, would be great. Would just like if we have you see a flyer, share it. Add it to. I force my kids to put it on their stories so that they could repost it so that their family could see it. So that would be the most easiest 2-minute one. Now you got 8 more minutes, so maybe Christopher could find something else to do, or Sylvia do with that.
I would say have a music moment anytime in your day. Turn on a song you really love, sing a song you really love. It doesn't matter if you're a good singer or not. That's irrelevant, because I know y'all are shower singers. Don't play, okay? But just have a music moment. Play your favorite song, play you a song that reminds you of a good time, something that's going to connect you to a positive memory, a positive energy, and then kind of just ride that into the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm.
Or to fix yourself from the day you've had.
Thank you, Christopher. Rosa, Karla, Silvia.
Yeah, I also agree with Christopher. Like, I love music. So every time I clean or every time, like, I just do anything, I listen to music and I have to listen to music. And so most of the time I listen to like mariachi music or to like cumbia or anything like that. And then I always end up dancing. So like, I feel like music is like such a great way to like, basically just like, connect your culture or sorry, I forgot. But yeah, I just love music.
Thank you, Karla. Silvia, Rosa?
I definitely agree. Today, one of the things that I do is just music. So that's changed your mood and helps you be connected to what you like to do. Yeah.
I like what Natalie said in the comments. She said, learn that art is not serious all the time. It doesn't have to be like you got to be great at this. Just enjoy. If you enjoy it, do it. It doesn't matter if you're great at it. The more you do it, the better you'll feel about it, the better you'll be at it. But if it makes you feel good and you're not hurting yourself or other people, enjoy the art.
One of the things that in our session we were sharing, you know, how Rosa said that she's not an, art person, and Christopher just, he shared, well, actually, she's really good at making these spreadsheets. That's actually art. And a lot of the times we don't think that we're good at something, or we just don't see it as a talent, or as being too artistic. But I believe we do all have some kind of a way of expressing, or showing what we're good at. So yeah.
Thank you, Silvia. Rosa, before we move on to our next question, would you like to share your thoughts about that question?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, sometimes I don't think I'm super artsy. Um, but something that I've been implementing is listening to music. I never listen to music. It sounds so weird, but like unless like my folklorico girls are performing, we're learning a dance or something. But besides that, like I don't like listen to my phone or turn on YouTube or anything like that. But when Sylvia comes into the center, she turns on all the lights and turns on the music and like blasts it. And so that's something I myself have been doing, just trying to listen to new songs, Spotify, clicking like top hits. It also helps me keep myself up to date with all the current songs all the teens are listening to. But yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for responding to that question. I noticed that Karla, you had your hand up first. Do you still have your question? We want to acknowledge you if you want to share your question or thought. Or Kelly, sorry, Kelly Hart.
I was actually just about to post it in the message thing. We're happy to promote your events. Please, please, please get us on your mailing list and things. And we also have a roster of artists for both our teaching artist thing, which we're looking for specifically BIPOC and LGBTQ artists to help get in the schools and things, not only in Whatcom County, but also further south and west and east and things. But we are always working with various artists for various different things, including our performances and our different festivals and things. So let us know, please.
Oh, thank you, Kelly.
And we have connections in the schools as far as getting more into the schools, as well as contracts with them. And so trying to get foots in the door. I know a lot of the smaller organizations have come to me and said that they're having trouble getting a foot in the door with the schools. We're happy to help with that.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
We always say in Georgia, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And that's how you get the news around. So
absolutely
carry that with you wherever you go. Thank you so much, Kelly. Andriana, will you pronounce your name for me, please?
It's Andriana. Can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First of all, just thank you for the spirit of this gathering and all that was shared. I was conveying to Liz in our breakout, I was feeling a little tired when I came in. I moved this week and I just feel energized and excited to be collaborating with you all. So thank you for that. My question is directed to Rosa and Silvia. I love the work, truly, like from my heart. I love the work that you're doing. I honor you for what you are doing, all of you on the panel. I really honor you. And I wanted to ask about cultural relevance in programming. My program is called Earth, Empowering All Relatives to Heal. And we combine mind-body medicine, somatic healing skills, mindfulness with the arts to promote mental and emotional well-being for our youth and women of all backgrounds. And so, if I were to approach Triumph sharing my program, I also want to make sure it's relevant for the youth that you're serving, language wise, the materials I would, bring in. I was thinking about, having a co-facilitator who speaks Spanish. Do you have any recommendations or thoughts for someone who is not from the same cultural background, but who, loves and supports your work?
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much for wanting to connect with us. When our teens are on vacation right now, they're in summer vacation. They'll be back August 28th. When we start our after school programming, every Wednesday we have Wednesday workshops where we bring in different people from all over to come do an hour-long interactive workshop. So please, please reach out. We would love to have you. Yes, we would definitely love to like talk more in detail about what we can do together. I think that we mostly serve Latino students, but we definitely have all types of cultures and languages here. Even within our own staff, we're multilingual and multicultural. A lot of our staff here are from Peru, from Chile, from El Salvador. We're not just Mexican. And so having different guest speakers from all over come and represent is amazing. And then, yeah, some of our teams do speak Mixteco or Spanish. And so from our organization, we have our staff who can help do something with you in Spanish. All our staff besides one person speaks Spanish here. So we definitely could help with that. And then also we have amazing Mixteco speaking volunteers who always are available to interpret for any teen or parent workshop, because we also have parent workshops.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry, Silvia.
I was gonna just add to what Rosa said. All of our programs that we offer, and I think she mentioned that we have the right translation for our teens. We want to make sure that everything that we do, it's providing them those resources, and it's not a barrier, like they don't understand. Even our food pantry is culturally relevant food, but we provide translating for everyone. So all of our workshops or our trainings are English, Spanish, and Mixteco, because like Rosa said, we have Black students, we have kids from Philippines. So we have majority of our students are Latinos, but our program is for everyone. It's not mainly just of Latino students.
Thank you so much. Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to point your attention to the chat a little bit. Meg talked about art just being an expression, but it's easy to overthink it and judge it. One of the things that I want you all to think about too is that perfectionism is a facet of white supremacy culture. So we have to try our best not to think we need to be perfect at whatever it is that we're doing, as long as we're having fun doing it or learning something in the process. So, and then Liz talked about the fact that I said who or what, or asked who or what are we comparing ourselves to when it comes to art. Stephen, do you still have a question? Would you like to share your thought or your question with us?
Sure. I guess I just had a quick comment. First of all, I just really appreciate the forum that we've got going on here. There's just some wicked cool stuff going on in both of your groups. So thank you. I guess I just wanted to emphasize at something that you just touched on, Meg's comment regarding fighting perfectionism, particularly in music. I mean, I'm a musician myself, and it's not like I was classically trained. It's not like I knew what the heck I was doing when I first picked up an instrument, but that outlet needs to be, I mean, it's so critical for particularly youth, but adults as well. I think some feel as though if you're going to have that outlet, that you need to have some kind of proficiency right off the bat, and that is so not the case. So if you're doing it for pleasure, I mean, I suppose there's a time and a place for some of the more regimented music learning, but I think for the most part, just having that real childlike fascination when you jump right on into something like that. I think that's critical. So I wanted to draw attention to Meg's comment because that is it's powerful and it's real true. So thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. I love the comment about that childlike fascination. So many times in our work and in our roles as leaders, we're always forced to be adults. But I love how art allows us to tap into our youthfulness, and it also can help us step aside from all the things that stress us out. So thank you for bringing that up too.
And one of the things that's like what you said, you try to be the better musician that you were yesterday. When in my philosophy in teaching is really hard because a lot of the band and orchestra teachers, they teach for the trophy. And I'm trying to get away from that because I'm teaching for the art. I'm teaching for the music. I don't care about the trophy. Trophy means nothing to me. What means to me is that are you having fun? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you helping your community? That's a bigger award to me than any trophy. And so we're trying to get away from that teach for the trophy kind of thing. And when I do workshops, I go, that's not important. Is the kid all around great student? Is he going to college? Is he being a leader? Is he helping the community? Because that doesn't make you a better musician by having a trophy on the wall. I have tons of them, yeah, but that means nothing to me. Teaching for the trophy is not the way to teach music or art. And I think we just obsessed about winning the trophy and obsessed about winning the gold medal. And that's just our society. And my students, I don't put them in any competition. I don't like that. I want them to have fun and perform. And thank you, Stephen, for bringing out that point.
I'd like to touch on what you're just saying there, because my thought just went out of my mind. It's true. So what I tell people when I'm talking about failure and success is, because most people are afraid to fail, but I tell them to lean into failure, therefore you can run into success, because failure is a needed tool to experience success. I tell them, if you've never failed, you'll never know what success is. You'll just be existing. So it's nice to have the kind of back and forth of those two, kind of to build off of each other.
I love that expression. I had never heard that one, but I'm going to borrow that from you if you're okay with it. Okay, any other thoughts, any questions? Meg, I'm going to point your attention to the chat again. Meg is saying that she'd love to, Northtown ACH would love to see everyone's artistic expression. If you have photos or videos, share it with team at northsoundach.org or tag us on social media at northsoundach. We'd love to see what you have going on. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Well, we will have another network learning session in September, on September 18th. This resource that we have here for you today, the discussion about art as healing and for activism, this will be added to our resource library as soon as we can. There's multiple other resources in that library as well. Please fill out the post session survey so that we can get a better understanding of how we're doing. We want to get your feedback. Again, you'll see the next link. It will update the page with the session's recording resources. Meg is dropping everyone's social media in the chat for our panelists for you to be able to reach them. And I'd like to also do a plug. I have a poetry workshop coming up on July 27th. This workshop is free. It's part of my Art Out Loud series, Art as a Tool for Restoration and Transformation. Please fill out the Google form. We want this to be accessible for everyone so folks can receive an e-gift certificate to offset any costs for attending the workshop. Please share it with a friend, share it with a friend, share it with a friend so that it gets all across the North Sound region. And again, we hope to see you at our next learning session, September 18th. It's called Community-Centered Funding. Again, panelists, we thank you for having this discussion with us. We thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us for this discussion, everyone, and we will see you all next month. No, in September, not next month.